There have been more protests by platinum miners in South Africa over working conditions. At least 9 people have been killed at a mine there since Friday in clashes between rival unions. 2 of the dead are police officers. They were hacked to death with machetes. Tania Page joins us live now from the town of Rustenburg, very close to the mine. Tania, last time I heard you speak, you were saying that the situation there is very tense. What's happening at the moment?
Well, when we left, it was still quite tense. In fact, that level had sort of ratcheted up quite a bit because for most of the day there were well over 1,000 striking mine workers sitting on a small hillside. They'd been listening to speeches. We couldn't really hear what was being said because they didn't really want us very close to them to hear. But just as it was about to get dark, the police and armoured vehicles came quite close to within about 200 metres, and at that point the men got to their feet. They were banging their weapons together, chanting. However, police called over some of their leaders. There was some negotiations. They went back, and just as night was falling, it seemed as if things had calmed down a bit. However, they were still on the hillside, but as night was falling, we didn't deem it was really safe for us to stick around.
Yeah, so 2 of the police are dead. 2 of the dead are police, rather. They were hacked to death with machetes. I mean, why this level of violence? Why this anger?
Well, it's a couple of reasons for that. And I mean, we are talking about union rivalry on one level because we've had a very dominant union in this country, the Union of National Union of Mine Workers. They are having their members aggressively recruited by a breakaway union, and that's really come about because the sector is in decline. There's flagging demand from China, the European downturn as well, and so people feel as if their jobs are really precious. There's more competition for them, and so they're shopping around for the union that they think will get them the best deal. You know, amidst that, however, we have a very confused situation on the ground. So on the one hand, you've got the union leaders talking to journalists and saying that it's the other union to blame, we're calling for calm, we want our workers to go back to work. But on the ground, what you see is a pretty different situation, and it's one in which many of the metal workers say that they don't want to talk to journalists, they're not willing to tell us which union they're from, they don't want to go to work because they're afraid of retaliation. So a lot of factors involved, and that is making it even more difficult for the police and for union officials and for the mine itself to really get to grips with the situation there, and that's why we've seen it go on for days, and we'll have to wait until morning to see whether the huge police and army presence in the area now has been enough to calm it all down.
Sure. Tania, briefly, if you will, what sort of impact is this having, do you think, on South Africa's reputation? It's a very important industry.
It's a hugely important industry, platinum in particular, because South Africa has 3/4 of the world's platinum reserves. Look, this sort of rivalry 5 months ago closed one of the biggest mine operators in this country down for 6 weeks. The operation at this mine has been closed for a day. They're thinking that may go on for longer. And what all of this does is totally the opposite of what these mine workers want. You know, they're hoping to protect their jobs, but investors are being put off by talk of nationalisation, and also they look in and they see this sort of labour situation here, police unable to control it, unions unable to control it, and that prevents investors, foreign investors, from putting more money into the sector, which then fuels its decline.
All right, talking to us from Rustenburg, Tania Page. Thanks, Tania.